Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, a Lionel 8200 Dockside switcher. Now, I got this, I don't know, several months ago. And it doesn't use a tinder. It carries its own water. This is a water jacket around the boiler. And it carries its own coal supply, so it has a standard Lionel coupler on the back of it. Anyway, it uses a CAN motor, and I converted it to AC by adding a diode. But I encountered a really interesting problem, and I thought it'd make an interesting video to share it with you. So, I've got the Lionel controller, the 12-volt controller, hooked up to the 12-volt lawnmower battery, as you see, and using a standard magnetic lock-on. Now, I make these. They work really well. Anyway, click it onto the rail and turn on the power, and as you see, nothing happens. Nothing at all. Now, when I first encountered this, I was like, what the hell? Why isn't this running? On AC, of course, it runs absolutely splendidly. So I thought, what would happen if I changed the polarity? So I take the magnetic lock-on off and move it to the center rail and the outside rail, and this little locomotive takes off and runs like a rocket ship. I thought that was really interesting. As you see, it runs absolutely splendidly. So, a bit of a conundrum that I did not understand. So, by simply changing the position of the lock-on, going from center rail and outside rail, or inside rail, to center rail and outside rail, it runs perfectly. Again, if I put it there, it doesn't run at all. If I put it there, it runs absolutely splendidly. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting conundrum. I had never experienced that before. Now, I obviously mounted a diode on this motor so I could run it on AC. So it became polarity sensitive, but this is the only one that's ever done that. Really interesting. I had not encountered this before at all with any other locomotive. Just this one. So I thought it was interesting. As you see, it will not run. So basically what I'm doing is changing polarity by putting this one on the center rail and putting that one on the outside rail. And it runs splendidly, as you see. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on this. Like I said, I've never encountered that before. So to correct that, of course, I could simply reverse the diode that I added to that motor. This is not a full-wave bridge rectifier. This is simply a diode that I soldered onto the motor. So if I turned that diode around, that would solve the problem. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting conundrum. I had never experienced this before in my life. Anyway, running on this battery, I charged it last night, and you can see this is drawing virtually nothing. And it's pulling 10 cars, and this thing will fly around this rail. I mean, it will fly. I got to slow it down before it gets to a curve because it'll derail. But it runs perfectly on this battery. I mean, this thing runs just absolutely splendidly on this battery. All of these CAN motor locomotives just run exponentially better. And they draw almost nothing. You know, this thing will it'll run virtually all day. 20 hours or so. It's actually a neat little locomotive. And I bought it simply because I've always wanted a switcher. But in this case, a Dockside switcher, it's self-contained, so it doesn't use a tinder. It has its own coal supply. It has additional water stored in this jacket around the boiler. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting conundrum, like I said. So if I switch the polarity, this locomotive will not run at all. And yet, as you see, it runs absolutely splendidly on this battery. Just absolutely perfectly. as you see. And like I said, this thing will fly. It will fly around this rail. It draws nothing. We've got 5 full amps to power it. But as you see, it runs really, really well. It's nice and quiet. It runs really smoothly. It looks nice. It can pull a substantial amount of weight for its size. I mean, this is not a big locomotive, as you can see. It's actually quite small. Can motor, of course. And I got this thing, I can't remember, I think I got it for 10 bucks, 12 bucks. And it's virtually new. Anyway, it was an interesting conundrum, like I said. It won't run when I just put the lock on the rail. I have to actually reverse the polarity to get this to run. I've never encountered that before. So like I said, in order to correct that, I would have to disassemble it and then just reverse the polarity on that diode I installed on the motor. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting conundrum. I'd never seen this before. This is the only locomotive that's ever done that. Anyway, I've got it on the outside rail pulling 10 Lionel cars. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Lionel cars. And this little locomotive just runs splendidly. And it will fly, like I said. I mean, it will zoom, as you see. I just don't want to derail it. But it'll fly around this rail, as you see. Anyway, I just wanted to document the polarity. It was really odd. Like I said, I've never seen that before. But I was pondering it, and I thought, well, let's see what happens if I reverse the polarity. Bang, it takes off. So if I put it on the, put the locket on the rail in the standard configuration, it will not run at all. It's not getting any power at all. Like I said, it was an interesting problem. I had not encountered it before. Anyway, I just want to do a quick video on this. This little tiny Dockside switcher, Lionel 8200. I picked this up for a song. And it was DC only, of course. This was a can motor. So I added the diode to it and allows me to run it on AC. Now, on AC, it runs perfectly. No problem at all. In fact, let me go ahead and pull this lock on off of here. And we'll turn the power on and run it on AC. As you see, now it's running on the transformer. So when I got this, you put it on AC, all it will do is sit there and chatter. It won't run at all. So I added that diode. It's up and running. It's running really well on AC, and it runs absolutely superbly on the battery. But I encountered that polarity problem. Like I said, I'd never seen that before. This is the only locomotive I've converted that has ever done that. So, an interesting problem. Just thought I'd do a quick video to share it. Anyway, I just want to do a video on the Lionel 8200 Dockside switcher. It's a great little locomotive. As you see, it can pull a substantial amount of weight for its size. It runs nice. It's really quiet. It's actually quite striking looking. It's a neat little locomotive. So, just a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.